Time? Was Time working there when you were there? Yep. So I got a chance to meet her.
She was at the gala.
I don't know if I met her at the gala.
Yeah,
I met her
it
at
was
the
crazy.
Buffalo.
It was a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it was a lot of people.
Took me about a month to recover from
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
That was a lot.
And so it's going to be 30 minutes and
Gotcha.
then,
Okay, we're good.
and you guys are live already.
Good morning, Buffalo. We are here on the Conversation with Jim Anderson show. It is not Jim, it is the co-host Austin, but it's a pleasure to be here today. Before we jump into it, I want to just always say, if you want to join the conversation, because today might be something you want to join, or you're gonna want to call in at 716-837-1112, as well as, because I'm wearing my Northland gear, I'm not going to take more than 30 seconds. We're having a community school counselor breakfast over at the Northland corridor at 683 Northland. We're trying to get people out there. If you feel like there's something in the community you want to see change, you want to see us kind of put effort towards, we're opening our doors so we can be more than a trade school, but also a community partner. Today, we're joined by some guests, one that especially has a very warm place both in this station and in my heart. Jim is kind of getting in now, so I'm going to go ahead and swing him a mic. But for time, I'm going to go ahead and also swing us to the guests, and Jim, you can hop in once you get settled. The first guest we're talking about would be Miss Wendy Mednick. Obviously, she's going to be coming here with Catholic Charities, as well as also talking about aging in place as well. And so the people that should be joined with are Miss Elise and Miss Kaitlin. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves, say how you're doing today, and then Jim, if you want to respond,
I'll let them go, and then I'll join in, and we'll start. We won't be roasting you, but we will be coming at you. And when you do start talking about this, if there's any political angle that how this connects to with the particularly local elections coming up, share that too. So you don't have to raise your hand. You pull the mic in and you just let it rip. We may possibly get some calls in. Listeners, area code 716-837-1112. Feel free to join us. Let us start cooking though. It's gonna be nervous enough in here for them as it is. They'll probably be mad with Wendy after this, but that's okay. No, just kidding. With that, let me just say welcome. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm getting back in it. I've been running all week. So, dig it. Running from them. Hey, you want my picture? Yeah. Okay, guys. Here we go. Hope you got your pens and pencil. And I know, take it away.
Thank you, Austin and Jim, and it's great to be back in this seat again. To my left and right, I have Kaitlin, Communications Director, and Elise, our
there you go,
our School-Based Services Director, and we're going to be doing a little bit of talking about Catholic Charities, our foster grandparent program that is about entering 40 years. And originally, when I talked with Jim and Austin a few months back before I started with Catholic Charities, we talked about some aging in place. And then when I got the position with Catholic Charities, we kind of meshed the two to talk a little bit today, the next half hour, about the foster grandparent program. What people don't know, I think, is that there's over 35 million Americans over age 65 in America today. And by the year 2030, it will comprise 20% of our population. So with that, we're living longer and seniors are aging in place. And what happens with aging in place? They retire, and the community, and especially the Buffalo community, we just leave them, right? Because they're dependent, they're hopeless. But then Catholic Charities comes around and says, hey, wait, let's take a time out. We have a program that's going to reemerge these seniors back in the community and do some really great things for them. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to both my partners here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the foster grandparent program and how Catholic Charities developed that. So,
cool.
Please.
Sure. So the foster grandparent program, it's a really wonderful program. It's the one that's the easiest to talk about because it's not only talking about the older adults that are 55 and older, who are in the schools and providing the support, but they're also supporting the kids. So that's the really great part about this program, is it's both. So the older adults are getting the benefit, and then the kids are getting the benefit in the school, because they have this really wonderful volunteer in the school supporting them, doing mentorship, academic support, and then the kids are having that benefit. So it's the whole classroom that they're in, but they're also individually working with a couple students as well. So a couple kids are identified and getting that support as well. So it's really nice that the older adults and the children are getting the benefit of this really wonderful program.
Let me ask you something while we're talking about in the school. So, does the school have anything to say about the program? Are they linked partners also with it?
Yeah, so the schools are our partners. So we have so many schools asking us right now for the volunteer, the foster grandparent volunteer. And so you could imagine there's a lot of needs in the school. Kids are just craving that connection and that need for somebody that they can go to in the school, right? So that's often our foster grandparents. So the schools are our partners. We just don't have enough volunteers. That's our biggest concern. So all these schools are coming up to us asking to partner, but we're low on the volunteers, and that's where Wendy has come in place as our outreach specialist, attempting to get more volunteers, because they do need us.
What's the other than a good thing to do? What's the benefits for the participants,
Yes.
those who participate in the program?
Yeah, so there is a huge benefit, of course, with being able to go out into the community, like Wendy's saying, the aging in place, to be able to go out and have that. That's a big part of the program, right? Is being physically active, having that social connection, that piece of giving back. But there are additional benefits too. So there is a small stipend given, in addition to some mileage reimbursement, meal reimbursement. So there is that kind of financial piece added into that as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the other benefits that we forget is, on the other side of it, a child's brain develops by about age 5, right? I mean, it's theory is proven. With one more person in that classroom helping, we're already short. We already have a shortage of teachers. We're already, we're still coming off of years of COVID where, never really going to be the same. They've lost those years of preschool and pre-K and the first few years where these volunteers go in, it's, age base of age 3 years old to 3rd grade. So there's no learning curve for these volunteers. They're not going in, just to kind of make it clear, they're not going into high schools. And, I work with Big Brother, Big Sister, and the other day she's coming with like trig questions. And I'm like, oh my God, it's changed. It's been a long time. But, to have that extra person, and the reason I say it is because there's no tutors in her schools to help her, right? So when you're looking at that age developing in a 3-year-old to 5 or 6 years old, that's where extra help is needed. So we're in that sweet spot of really helping in a classroom that needs more of that one-on-one that teachers can't give, because we're full force now back in school. And we've already have a few years to make up where somebody, right now in kindergarten or 1st grade, they miss those preschool years that I think are extremely important for children's development and brain development. So, it's a win-win for both the students. Let's take a third element out of the teacher and the volunteers. Like Elise said, it gets them out. They can work as little as 5 hours a week up to 40. And it's a group of women that are, they all have a common ground here of wanting to help, wanting to be a volunteer, getting a small stipend for it, getting reimbursement for meals and transportation. And beside all that, they're getting out and they're making new friends, because as we age, what happens to our friends? Mm-hmm. The phone stops ringing. My mom is going to be 92 next week. The phone stops ringing.
True that.
And we are attempting to get more men into the program as well. So she mentioned a group of women. We have just 2 men right now in the program. That's something we are attempting to get and recruit more for, because we know that the connection, again, we're just trying to find and give kids as much connection as they possibly can. And sometimes it's that one person that makes a difference. So all volunteers we're looking for. Yeah. Okay.
I had to get the 3rd victim in before we turn the heat up. No, I just wanted to get you on my and talk about the program from your aspect.
Sure. So my name is Kaitlin Jackson. I'm the Director of Agency Communications. This is just a really, really wonderful program. I've had the opportunity to come into classes and see the volunteers interacting with the students. I'm a mother of 2 little ones, so I know how important those relationships are and to have that support. So it's just great to watch the volunteers interact with the kids, and you can see the mutual benefits, that the grandparents are getting just as much out of it as the kids are.
I'll say, you don't have to wait. But, okay, I got a couple of grilling kind of might be, when we think about the value incentive of the program, so like right now people are talking about how children can't read. And the earlier they start, it would be better. So the thought is there an enhancement like where this school helping core people would be able to kind of learn the basics of some of that begins to be really hard, necessary stuff that like every child needs to learn. And I'm thinking if they can get it earlier, I can kind of recall as a kid hearing grandma say some words to me. I didn't know what, but I'm thinking about, if we got a problem in a school district where children are not reading on grade level, it seemed like whatever we could do to stimulate that forward quicker would be to start early. And in this type of program, if grandparents were like getting some additional skill sets provided while they do the work, rather than it just be like what some people might think babysitting. So I'm pushing it. Who the program director? Who the big boss? Big boss, you're listening, right? Okay. Your workers didn't say it. I'm pushing that out there as a thought. But really, no, seriously. That would, I think that adds a deeper turn of endearment and value.
Yeah. And I agree. And it's a great point, because these volunteers as well are going to take this home. They're going to take this home because that generation, that second, third generation, single moms, have to work. And even non-single moms have to work. And so where does that fall on? Who's taking care of the grandchildren? Right. So they are bringing that home. So now there's that extra incentive because their brain is now thinking differently, because they're going in and volunteering in these schools going, hey, you know what? I have grandchildren at home and I'm going to start doing that. And you're right. There is that reading children while you're pregnant, like they can hear your voices. So I just think the earlier you can learn, like that's all going to spew over into better learning as they age.
Okay.
So I agree with you.
Yeah. And it'd be great if the funders give y'all more money to give people more money.
Right.
No, because there's like in the community, the kind of work that some people get called to volunteer for, other people get paid nice bucks to do it. Right. And so that's a big issue out there, especially in economic devastation that is going on in the community. So it's like trying to get everything and making funders, if they're going to fund something, fund it for real. That's me, Jim Anderson. But anyway, we continue. Tell me more about the program. What do people need to do? What haven't you told us that we need to be telling folks?
Yeah, so I think even connecting the foster grandparent back to what you were talking about with the reading in the school too, I often like to think about there's these kids that are kind of lost, right? Like they're doing okay in the classroom. They maybe don't have as many needs or things, so they're not getting that support. The foster grandparent program, yes, they're getting connected to the kids with some of those exceptional needs, but they're also in there to kind of identify some of those kids with like middle of the road where they're just kind of quietly sitting there and they're not getting the support, but they could really use that person connect. Or maybe the foster grandparent notices, hey, they're not reading as much, or they're kind of clue in. So that's a really great opportunity for the volunteer to also have that piece and that connection where they're paying attention in the classroom, where these teachers are so overwhelmed. Let's be honest, the classroom is a lot to manage. So it's another great aspect that they can put in. And so our foster grandparents do get an orientation, an intensive orientation to go in where they learn about the program. They learn some basic skills and things that they need to know to help kids, right? So that when they go in, they're not lost or feeling like, where do I even start? And this is funded by AmeriCorps Senior. It's a federal program. This program is across the whole country. So this isn't something that we just made up. This is something that's really well run. It's really well covered. And Catholic Charities is the only one providing that within Erie County, which is really great that we as an agency have been able to provide this for so long too.
I think Murray Holman is joining us from
I'm jumping in, trying to shake it up a little bit on it. So my question is, what is AmeriCorps Senior? I know about AmeriCorps, downtown doing things, but what is AmeriCorps Senior?
Yeah, AmeriCorps Senior it's a federal program that the programs are directly connected to seniors. So older adult programming, they have quite a few. So foster grandparent is one leg of it. And our program directly connects to individuals within a certain income bracket so that we can make sure that we're providing a stipend. So not all programs, some are just volunteer based and there's no income reimbursement or acknowledgement, but this one has a stipend base too, which is really nice. We can offer that.
So with a stipend, does that affect their gross in the house, or is it separate? Sometimes would they go over a certain amount of money,
Correct.
but they have to file W-9s?
Excellent.
Like that there.
Yeah, excellent question. It will not impact that. That's something that they make sure that it is not going to impact so that we don't limit which volunteers we get. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I had to got to make sure I hear of other different information and perspectives before I normally like to weigh in, because I just like to really think about my perspective on it. But in this particular subject, I was a young person. I had I won't say one, but I was so young that I really only had experience with one grandparent. And my grandma means a lot to me. Like, she really means a lot to me. And I think that I know a lot of other young people who, when you hear things like, oh, common sense isn't common, or like, oh, what's up with this younger generation? I always will say the same statement, which is the younger generation will always reflect the expectation of those who came before them. And so I think that when there's a disconnect, when there's not conversations being had from elders and youth, right? Even when I look at other communities, I look at other types of people, other countries, like Eastern countries where filial piety is very important, right? Where respecting elders is very important. But it's hard to respect them that I don't understand, that I haven't interacted with. And I think that even if it's just being a source of patience, when we're trying to raise a generation of thinkers like we are, thinking requires a lot of questions. And I often say, like, we want thinkers and then we don't want to answer questions. And sometimes, like you said, as someone who has mentored and worked in a school with young people, it's a lot. And I oftentimes feel like you either aren't fully teaching, or you're like kind of trying to balance teaching and babysitting. I want you to like me, but I can't be too nice, because then it's like such a weird thing where I'm trying to basically parent other people's kids without the authority of being a parent. And I think that that'll be good. I'm not going to necessarily like go super in depth on it. I think it'll be good. I think there's a lot of young people who really could benefit and really could, like you said, feel seen. I think that we have so much support for these extremes of youth, right? Whether it's the 30 under 30s at 19, or it's the person who's one step from a 30-year bid in incarceration, but there's not too much support for the middle ground. I think that we have so much knowledge in our elders in our community. We have so many things that you won't see in a history book, or Google can't really explain, that I think that the best way to bridge that disconnect is to raise a generation of people who not only can think, but are comfortable, and like you said, have experiences with these older generations to go to them as a source of information. Because if you want us to be united as a people, right, whether on the financial, the social, the political aspect, we have to be speaking. Like, I can't understand or be able to reflect or vote in accordance with like all Americans when I haven't spoken to all Americans, when as a young person, how am I as an older person going to be able to influence a young person when I haven't spoken to them? I haven't built in that relationship. So when we wonder why young people don't vote, it's because we haven't identified what's important to us. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is not through one-off events, is not through a special day once a year, or trying to do a last-minute poll to get voter engagement. It's through building a relationship so that when voting time does happen, just like I go to my grandma and people in my life that I know are a little bit more well-versed to ask questions, every young person in the city should have someone they can go to as a support system. And it might not always be your parents. And we don't know what's going on in the house. So if we can't go in the house and we can't force anything and it takes time, I think this is a great alternative to build that relationship in our community.
Yeah, and it's a great point you brought up, Chertomaya, because one of the most important person in my life was my grandmother. And, and I think that there's some huge patience there. It's generational, you're right. And these kids that they're going in is, generation. And a lot of times, and in the schools that these foster grandparents are in, there's a place for kids to go, 8 hours a day that's safe. When they stayed home for a couple of years, and parents were working and parents were struggling and there was no money, they were not paid attention to. And so for this 8 hours a day, you have somebody who is, you can ask anybody, whether they had, like you said, one grandparent. I was lucky enough to have two grandmothers for a really long time. And my grandmother was a huge mentor to me. And there was, just the kindest, sweetest lady. Never heard her yell, never heard her use foul language, just was a kind person and taught me a lot. My cooking skills came from her, which then opened a restaurant from her and named it after her. So, there's that legacy that lives on because there was patience and there was learning. And getting back to the education system, this is a crucial election year. And a year coming up next year looking for a mayoral race. Like the schools need to, be re-engaged of like, what are they there for? They're there for learning. So for somebody that's regarded as, I'm sure if you stop 5, kids your age, even my age, generations beyond that, your mom's age, Jim's age, and you said grandmother or grandfather, they would smile because that's what it does. And I think it's exactly what you said. It goes back to really enforcing that education. And a lot of these grandmothers are storytellers. How could they not? Right? They've been around for almost 6 or more decades. How could they not be storytellers? And children at that age, they gobble that up, and they're not getting that at home. And maybe they are, but for that time being that they're there, it's an extra added value. Like Elise said, teachers are already inundated. There's already enough because they're still playing catch up. So you have this person in there that's highly regarded as a grandmother at any age.
Grandmothers are younger now, much younger.
They are younger now, and that's why our age limit is also 55. You're seeing that.
That's high age as well. We have grandmothers in our community that's like 20, 25, 26 years old. I mean, you could be, grandmother, you'd be surprised how many grandmothers are in our community and across this nation that's younger now, not the 55 mark. 55 mark is like kind of being a little bit older. I'll give 30. Just to be clear, to be 30. But then when you say grandmother, how would they get to the location? Will they be picked up, or because most of them don't have transportation? Yeah. How would they get to getting involved with Catholic Charities and all that there?
Yeah, and real quick, just so I clarify too, you don't have to be a grandparent to volunteer in this program either. Just want to clarify that. You can be anybody 55 and older can be a part of this. You don't have to have grandkids of your own. It's just the name of the program because you're acting in that sense. Yeah, so that the transportation is a great piece and a barrier we want to make sure isn't there. So there's mileage reimbursement if they do drive. Some of our volunteers do carpool. It's a great community. I think that's a piece we haven't talked about, is that we have about 43 volunteers right now. They are a community for each other. So a lot of times they will do that, but if not, we also do bus reimbursement as well.
So my question to you, how come you guys are not going into senior buildings like the Schiller Park Community Center, where there are so many grandparents sitting in that place, have nothing to do? Do you just have one location, or are you going to have satellite offices, or what? Because these grandparents are sitting in these community centers, even at whims, is why that you wouldn't even have to go far to find them in order to make this work on that level.
Yeah, and that's a great question. Thank you for sharing that. We actually in October are hitting Delving Grider. I was at Gloria Parks last week. We're at 12 different seniors. We're doing a big program in 2 weeks with Live Well Erie. And I'm also partnering up with a couple other council members for their senior Saturday programs as well. So
councilman, something totally different.
Yeah.
So, So we prior to COVID, it was easy to get volunteers. It was something where we didn't have to do as much outreach. They were coming to us. We found after that it's been a lag. It's been really hard to get seniors out and re-engage. We're not exactly sure why, but across the country, it's not just here in Buffalo. So Wendy actually, as the outreach specialist now, is really dedicated, and that's her focus, to get out and to try and re-engage older adults.
We're gonna go to a break, and then we're gonna come back and gonna turn up the heat.
No, she said that it had to be 30 minutes.
Oh, wait a minute. Well,
It's 30 minutes.
no,
Sheila.
we're gonna. Sheila.
She
She wanted us.
just 30 minutes.
No,
She
we're
wants.
How y'all doing?
We're gonna roll in inside.
Didn't know who I was. I was just like,
She said she
We're gonna talk to them. She wanted us to do some political.
They said they can't talk about political.
so I'm on the other side.
I already asked them. And I told them that it was 30 minutes, but it's up to you. We're still on live, so.
Can we do a recap after, at least, like after? the
I am
break?
gonna keep going. I know. We're in the fourth.
Like, I think this is very interesting, and it is related to a much bigger themes in the community. Like this is,
It is,
that's when
and
we
then
talk about. Oh, I don't ever get a chance to talk to young people. Let's give you a chance to talk to young people. They're still impressionable.
the station is, it's not a problem. The station is we're in because of the political situation, mayor leaving, we got council, we got a change in the legislature, still not clear on who's on what base, and people are looking to turn, and so we're engaged all the way up to election day and targeting again on it. But because I already had your book, I would not unbook you. I will push in, that's why I'm pushing in things that I think connect politically. For instance, city council, yeah, but the school board even more so. They should be partnering with you. Oh, hey, we're back and you're listening to Conversations with Jim Anderson. Let me just tell the listening audience, listen, we are in the midst of political shakeup, and every show will have some elements of it. Don't be fooled by the subject matter. The subject matter is definitely related to the political system, but as the weeks going forward, it'll be much stronger on candidates who are willing to show up and not know last minute, hey, I want to come. No, book ahead if you're going to show up. And if you don't show up, I'm going to talk about you anyway. But every subject that we have is going to be relating to that. And I think this grandmother's program is one that's important. See, I mean, you got a program, council people say they like it, the school themselves are supposedly thumbs up with it too, and yet we don't see a whole team approach. I mean, everybody could do their part, like to have a huddle where all those who are connected on the lifting can meet together so we know who's doing what, how to link what, and how it flows. That's what's missing, because I don't think y'all have to be the only voice speaking on it. I think school board members should have that in their arsenal when they're bragging about some things they would do. It would be to enhance programs like this and make the connection of what it does to children in their schoolwork. I think council people who claim to be on board, not only with a program like this, but also with menthol cigarettes, getting them away from young people. They say they're on board, but where's the work and what comes out? And so that's why I'm saying the topic flows into that, and we won't be letting up community. We'll just be turning up the steam. We got a caller on the air, so I'm gonna shut up. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Doyle.
Hi, Dr. Doyle.
Hi, Dr. Doyle.
Yes, and I wanted to say I appreciate the comment by Austin. He really brings some good comments to your program. To your guest, I am a grandmother of 7 and a great-grandmother of 6, and I was told another one is on the way.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Rock the cradle,
I'm a
baby.
retired Buffalo public school teacher. I taught for 30 years. I'm a mentor to young people in the community, and I published my 14th book last year. And so I'm very active in the community, and I want to say this. We have a lot of grandmothers in the community who teach their own children and others, like Karima Amin, the storyteller, Sharon Holly, and many others. And I'm a newspaper columnist, and I want to ask you a question. Have you introduced your program to our local media like the Challenger and the Criterion? I write for the Criterion newspaper. I just wanted to share that with you this morning. And I want to say that I mentor my grandchildren, my great-grands, and I go into the schools and I also speak. I just wanted to share that with you this morning. You all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Doyle. It's always good to hear your voice. Wendy, I don't let me call on.
No, you can call me.
I'm actually going to move away from Wendy.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm giving you the mic.
Sure. Do you want me to answer that question
or anything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have done ads before. We've done press releases. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't have any specific dates for you, but we have worked with some of those publications in the past for foster grandparent program, but then other things relevant to the community and Catholic charities that we're doing.
Cool.
Yeah, and Dr. Doyle, thank you for calling in. And you're a remarkable woman in this community in the city of Buffalo. So you put that out there, so I will be calling you. We'll get some approval through our communications director and my director here through school-based services. So expect that call this week. You put it out there, so we're going to challenge the challenger and go in for an article. So we appreciate you.
And the Criterion as well. That's what Mother Doyle writes for the Criterion.
Oh, Criterion. I apologize. Okay.
And another challenge, if we can look at, I ain't important all the stuff into your stuff. Listen, tell the funders, they need to think about investing in the other kind of outreach. You can reach more people on air and through our newspapers in the community than you can run around knocking on doors or holding a meeting here and a meeting there. And tell the funders or ask the funders to ask me, because, in the community, stations like this don't have a lot of money. And foundations know we're in the age where information is important, and this is the most important way. And if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. And you can spend some of them dollars and you wouldn't wind up having to spend them all here. But it's this is how we're going to build our community, because they got us entrapped on all sides. They get programs that are isolated and not connected. And those who sit in seats that should be connected to you act like they don't see you. They hear you, but they're not looking to find you. I'm saying it because I know. And Catholic Charities is not saying it, but y'all know who you are. All you electeds, if you're not reaching out and pulling these programs close to you, so when you come in the community, you can talk about you got some kind of real hookup, shame on you.
So, Mr. Anderson, Jim Anderson, you're talking about the shakeup now. So we're going to maybe open up the can of worms. So my question is, being that we have a shift going on in Buffalo, New York, with the mayoral, Mayor Brown stepping down, and now we have a new interim mayor here, Scanlon, I believe his name is, from South Buffalo.
Right.
The shift has just happened to us lately, and so now we're trying to figure out how do we get more involved in our community and what's taking place here. We know that we've been having some positions that have been appointed to in the city of Buffalo, Congressman Kennedy, and then now you have Lawrence Dupree from the legislator. So these things are happening in our community. So we have all this shift happening going on, and programs are coming out. Some programs might be on the line of being dismissed, because when you bring in new people, old things get pushed to the side. We got the race with Kamala Harris as president coming up as well. And so now we're talking about some great things. And I just wanted to go with a little bit of the shake-up part is for Catholic Charities. Even though they get funding from the community, a lot of their funding come from the community. How do they survive when things are going to be shifting in certain districts?
So the foster grandparent program is primarily funded through the federal funds. So our program is secure in that, and it's been so many years. So personally, the program we're talking about today, not one that we have to worry about from a local level, which is
and when
really
you say
good.
secure, I'm saying it clearly because I'm a not-for-profit organization, and we thought American Rescue Plans was secure for our organizations, and then it came out down the line that it wasn't secure. And then we had to find other means and necessary or collaboration to work with. So sometimes when you think that the government is securing things, later on down, Mr. Jim Anderson, it's very, very well, things get cut. And then here we go, you might have a 5-year plan and then they tell you, it's not there. But hopefully that, things go in the right direction for you. But security right now in the United States is very, very vague right now. We got a lot of things happening. We got Gaza, things happening, wars are happening. And how can we have so much security here? I think here living in the United States, we done got so lax on things and saying, okay, it's going to take care of itself. But eventually, we're going to have to be out here fighting with each other. But on the shakeup, like I said, we have a new mayor in place right now. He has to run. I'm Austin. We talk about this all the time. What we gonna do? I mean, how are we gonna? Got to get them on the show so they come on here and talk on this air to let the public know what's going on, and that's how we have to roll out. So if you want to come on the show, we ain't gonna beat you up too bad, Mr. Anderson. He knows how to make us be respectful, but you need to come on this show here on Power 96.5 and on the Mix 1080 AM. Anybody in the city of Buffalo or in Erie County or whatever, when you come to town. So one thing I want to let you know is Justine and them are having something called if you ever stop by the police, what to do. It's going to be at the John B. Wiley. They're going to be doing this October the 9th. What to do when stopped by the police. And that's not just for young folks, it's for elders as well. What to do, stop by the police. Please check them out October 9th, 2024, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the John B. Wiley.
Yeah, and I feel like, at least for me, hearing this, like when you talk about even the security of it, like I always say, like as a young person, it's so hard when people tell me as a young person, oh, you got to vote, you got to be politically engaged, and they want me to engage with a system that I'm constantly hearing doesn't work, right? Isn't for us, right? And so to that point, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, with programs like this, we have to, as voters and constituents, make a decision as to what we're really saying the problems are and how committed we are to changing them. Right? Because what do we always hear? Oh, well, we want to win this political election. We have to have young people engaged. Well, then engage with them. This is your chance to engage with them. Fight for what you're telling me, at least, is the issue. Because like we've always said, if I can't see you fight for issues like this, how am I going to believe you're going to fight for me? And so to that point, when certain programs like this or other programs like it that are doing good for the community, and to me, if we're talking about the security of it, that becomes a question to ourselves. It's like you're asking it to a mirror, because it's like, well, if we put the people in office and we're supposed to be voting for the people that represent our interests, and this is one of our interests, then this should be something that's supported. And if it's not, then we need to change the people who are in those positions. And like y'all said, it's not Catholic Charities saying that, that's Austin Martin saying that. So I want to see my community put their dollars, put their feet, and put their vote where their mouth is, because I hear a lot of things that the young people should be doing, but I don't oftentimes hear what people are doing themselves today.
So what about your is this a target zone 14215? Is this program just designed just to be in the Black community, or is it all Erie County with the program with the for the your program with Catholic Charities? That's the question I'm asking.
So historically, we are mainly in the city of Buffalo. That's where we've been. That's where we target. We can extend out to outside of Erie County, but because we don't have a lot of volunteers right now, we're open to any volunteers possible. But yeah, historically, we've been in the city of Buffalo. When we do a monthly in-service training for our volunteers. We do Matt Urban Center down the street actually allows us to host there. We try to think of locations that make sense. And then the volunteers, they're able to choose a location that's close to their home, because we want them, not only the barrier of transportation to be eliminated, but we also want them to feel like they're a part of their community and giving back to their community. So they can actually be in the same school as their grandchildren or children. They just can't be in the same classroom, but that's kind of a cool piece that they can feel like, okay, I can see my grandchild in the day and feel like I'm giving back to their school too.
Yeah, and getting back to your point, this is a 30 days from now, this is going to be a different world, and either way, we're going to head into a new direction, and
not new. Did you say new?
Well, I said I said possibly different. Either winner, whoever wins, not getting on either side here. Well, anybody waiting for me at my car. We can't lose sight of why we're here this morning, and it's for, the foster grandparent program is for those that, are looking to create a little bit different in their life and to get out. We're aging in place where people are living longer, but most importantly, like Elise said, the area that we focus on in the city of Buffalo and where we really try to recruit and outreach for volunteers is in the schools that really need it. Would we love to be in more schools and more than 50, one professionally staffed locations? Absolutely. But I think we can't, like Austin was saying, and you had said, to make point of that, is that we can't lose sight of what we're doing. So above and beyond getting federally funded, we are going and we are making, moving into 25, a different look for this, because, we're trying to increase that. For me, like, I want this volunteer base at the end of 25 to be doubled what we have. That's my goal. We're going to do it. And it's going to be because we're knocking on different doors and we're getting out there, like Jim said, and, in different funders, and funding comes in a lot of different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean it comes in money. It comes in power. And so going to these senior centers, because that's our target, we're making a list and sitting down weekly, with my supervisors and looking at saying what makes sense, where we need to be for the biggest bang for our buck. Because, when they're ready to go, like you have to get them. And we need more volunteers.
Yeah. And I applaud the program. I go back to when Success by Six kind of launched out on the same kind of trajectory and aiming to make these connections with young people. And personally, I don't think they did so good. I think it got more corporate takeover. No, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I have to explain it someday. But here's why I'm saying that. Again, here they were, a fly solo program, birthed at the United Way, launched into its own setting and being, and then, getting funding. But then I asked, let's look at the work that they did. Anybody got the records on it? Can we get, and particularly in the community where if every day they're talking about how troubled young people are, make you wonder, well, what did they do? Did they succeed? If they had success, what worked and what didn't work? This is why I'm so cautious blurting out to some other listeners about don't let y'all fly by yourself. Even though it's federal dollars, other programs and other leadership should be connected into it. Like we don't need our council people to praise a program that they're not behind really lifting. Exactly. Because they're good for a lot of talk. The ones who for that, they know who they are. But I won't call no names because I want them all to feel like I want them to know I feel like they innocent. He ain't talking about me.
Because they may be waiting at your car too.
Right. The program is a good concept. And as you heard callers already say, we got tons of seniors in here. I don't give it no downer, but see, even seniors are out in the open now. They've been here. So, and the problem is that exists now has been here. So what were they doing? What they've been doing? Now you're going to come along with a plan and a way to organize them to do better so they don't just be bragging and good, well-intentioned, because good intentions, when they miss their mark, it's horrible. They had good intentions with Success by Six. They had good intentions when you hear, we got a lot of seniors. The question is, what are they doing really? I see senior balls, senior parties. I'm not against that, but I don't see the real qualified stuff that will help young folk move forward faster. And that's the challenge I'm pushing out to the community, not so much to you, but also in the expansion of your program as you meet the requirements you have to meet now. Along the way, you're going to discover some angles that need to be addressed that will allow you to educate the feds and other funders on how they could do better to help y'all do better and to help the community do better. And I think your programs will be replicated by others. They may not call it the Catholic Charities Grandparents Program, but you'll find groups trying to do, there are groups now trying to do stuff like that. They mean well, they're just not doing so well just yet, but they'll get there. You'll help with the
We're
friend.
doing stuff right now with Dr. Lives Coalition, collaboration with the Buffalo Black Billions, now through ministry and as well as the station here, trying to get youth involved with seniors. Now they just, I'm working on a program right now. Erie County has just released funds for kids from 14 to 25 to work. They get paid $16 an hour. And so now some of these youth can go and hang out with the seniors and give them some help as well. And now we got a wraparound program. So kudos to the Erie County for coming up with that program there. And now, I got the application sitting in front of me right now. So, but it's a buy-in. It has to be a buy-in in our community, especially with our seniors now getting a little bit older and don't have no one coming to see them. But I believe if you give them the angles to go out and be active again, then they wouldn't, other little medical conditions they might be having, they won't have them because now they're moving around doing things. So I think it's a great program that you guys have going on, but it needs some more collaboration from our organizations, especially, I'm with the Buffalo Peacemakers and Stop the Violence and other groups, and you can go in that direction. So, but like I said, if you don't get it in our, channels of reading or taking ads out, like on this station and others, to push it out there, you're only going to get so many people. So we got to make sure we do it right and push out the right information. Don't buy the middle of the page, buy the front page. And so now people can understand it's great things coming out of cafeterias. But the only thing I hear out coming out of cafeterias now and is selling of their, properties, things like that. Let's change the mindset and do some great things. I used to work for Charities. I know it's a great organization, Sister Hospital and all them things. I got a lot of resources and a lot now it's not so many elders that's going in there. So I'm at that age now. I am an elder, but I want to see how it comes out.
Yeah, me too. I hear you. I'm an elder too. For a little while, at least.
Take us away with whatever, like you want to make us and the rest of the community understand this and that we don't get it wrong. If you want to roll it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest summary I can give is just we need seniors. We need seniors to come out and give back, right? So being a volunteer for us is the biggest ask we're at right now. We know the programs of value. It sounds like you guys are hearing that too, which we're thrilled. We hope the listeners feel that too. We want to have, it's a great community of volunteers who are giving back to their schools and their communities.
Who should they call? Where should they come?
Yeah, and I was just going to say is as I was asking him, go to Catholic Charities website and you can take that.
ccwny.org. You'll find a list of all of our programs and services. So not just the foster grandparent program, but really everything that we do, which is a lot. We cover all 8 counties of Western New York. So I'll let you give the number about specifically for this program, what they need to.
Yeah, and I think if you send it in, there'll be some information on how to get in touch with us. And, I will reach out to everybody and as well as let you know, like some of our upcoming events. They can call 716-896-6388. And I believe they can send an email. There's also an email link there. And we'll reach out and get you an application and get you set up. And like Elise said, it's going to be close proximity to where you're living. And for some, I got asked a question in an event on Saturday. Can I go to my kid's school? And we're going to check to see if that's one of the schools that we have an affiliation with. But we're also looking into doing, and we have done like summer programs at Delvin Grider, and we met with the executive director and looking to get back in there and do some after
We got to go to more than Delvin Grider. We wearing that place out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean that was a start as far as that branched off, hitting the seniors. This is like taking it into a deeper connection for the city of Buffalo, like Jim said. And so we're starting to really pound pavement here, and it makes sense to exactly what you said, get into the seniors, because that's our audience. So we're branching out. We've been into 3 different senior centers already with a lot of programs upcoming in October and November.
So folks, before we get on off the air, I wanted to make sure that we talked about the bullying of young lady who was being bullied at school and committed suicide. Those topics are going on as well. The sanitation worker backing up into a kid in our community, running them over, license suspensions, things like that there. You'll be hearing more about that on the Jim Anderson show going down the line. We're going to get a lot of current affairs coming up real soon, but a lot of things happen in the city of Buffalo. We can't do it all in 1 hour, but we try to do it as best we can with the guests that we have, and then sometimes going to current affairs that's taking place in our community. So please get on the line and call us anytime you want. Back to you, Jim.
Yeah, and it's like what you said. There's a lot going on in the city, and we're trying to bring a little happiness here this morning. It's happy times when you can see we come to our monthly in-service meetings, and we had one Thursday, and to see we had 5 new volunteers last month, to see almost 50 people sitting in a room having a good time, and I was just sitting in the back and watching, and we're putting on programs for them, and it's just happiness. I wish my mother would have done something like this. It's past her time, but
she did it. You just do it. It wasn't a program. It was just her being a grandmother.
It was a different program, right? Yeah, she couldn't wait to be a grandmother. She was one of the few.
It was on the street. It was on the block, like Mr. Anderson said.
Yeah, right.
Grandmother was on the block, and she knew who you were, and she would take care of you. Those programs was already existing, so now that everything has to be, quote, just pushed into some.
I agree.
Your place. But let's get back to the community.
Yeah. So, that's what we're going to try to do, is really immerse this happiness of a program in where it's a win-win for a lot, teachers and schools and the community and the foster grandparents themselves. And, and again, don't forget about the student. I'm a huge advocate of we lead by example. So we're going to lead by example here, and we're going to keep pushing this program. And I myself, sitting here for the last 50 minutes, have learned a lot, and, storing it on where places we need to be. So thank you for that.
Well, I just want to thank y'all for coming in. We're not rough in here, but part of what we have to do is ask the kind of questions for those who don't get on the phone, who might want to ask a question and a little shy, and to help you stretch it out so that people say, "Oh, you just pitched underhand to them." Y'all can take a fastball, and it's not to undermine you, but it's also to send a message to those who are listening in higher places that should be doing more than listening. They should be helping to expand this kind of concept. And again, I can tell you, with the way economic situations are in Buffalo now for a lot of family, and with younger grandmothers who aren't so well properly prepared to deal educationally with their own kid and need help. I'm just saying we can do better, and we're going to do better. I think a program like this is one of the things that can help, and I hope y'all don't lose the fire to keep going. Don't worry about the wind pushing against you. Worry about whether you have the to deliver what you think you got there and your concept and the value of it, and bring it, but it's still part of, if you build it, they will come.
It's true.
Get it going, and we'll be there.
I like I said, I don't really always add too much, but I like to really just listen and kind of take in what's being said. And I'm really glad to hear about a program like this being built out. This is one of those programs that I call, it's like a transitional program, meaning we have so many programs in the city for once you reach something, right? If you want to perform somewhere, go to Key Bank. But what if I'm an aspiring musician, right? Once you're a community member, oh man, go to Common Council and speak. But where do you become built up? Where are your roots? Where are you learning to how to advocate for yourself? Where are you learning things that are important and how to maneuver the world? That happens in the community doors, and I think that that's something that we've been missing for a while. And it's so easy for us to hop on the air or behind our closed doors, become so disenfranchised from our community and make everything such a separate issue when we understand that it's all related. And when you want people to engage with important things going on in the world, like elections, local and national, when you want change in your city, it comes from starting at the surface level, which is saying, how are we engaging, how are we talking to our youth, and how are we building a community? Because you can't want a community without putting in the work to build one. So it's glad to hear that there are people out here putting in the work so we can build the Buffalo that we so desperately want to see.
So with that being said, the Toxic Tunnel was having a meeting, I believe they're having a meeting October the 7th, press conference talking about injunction applications announced against the proposal of the $1 billion tunnel. So like you said, we try to touch all bases on a lot of things that we see in our paper. You can tune into that or go online and see what's happening with that. It just seems like sometimes things happen in the city of Buffalo for a moment and then we forget about them. You know, that it's just like, boom. You know, it's hot news, it is not news. On this station, we try to make it relevant and keep it going in that way. So look forward to the Jim Anderson Show coming back to you next week at 11 o'clock and bringing the fire like we always do on the show.
On behalf of Catholic Charities and myself and my colleagues, we'd like to obviously thank you for this time. And you always be my friend, Jim. And we love you for having us on.
You're grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Austin knows what he means to me. So we are thankful that we're out here. We're going to keep pushing. You know, we work for Catholic Charities. We're fighters. So we're not giving up. I have a lot of push left. I have a lot in me left. And so we're going to, you know, take what we already have and what we learned today. And we appreciate your time and being able to sit here for the last hour. And
so is there, before I go, is there permanent position available for someone not just, you know, just want to be on the stipend? Is there a permanent position available at your organization?
Working in the program?
Oh, not currently. No, we are fully staffed, which is great. Wendy was our last addition for now. So full-time, no. But they can work up to 40 hours a week, the volunteers. Yes, it is stipend, but you can 5 to 40 hours, which can really add up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all.
Again, thank you. And we still got a couple more minutes. So if there's some last words or comments you want to make, you're welcome to.
Yeah, just, you know, look for us, go to our website. There's a lot of, you know, things coming up in October before the first of the year. And we're going to have some new surprises and some, you know, hopefully a little bit more outreach that we hadn't done. You know, it's going to be full force to really try to increase.
And that phone number again? And while we're getting that phone number for you, seriously, I hope your ears, you know, filter through and hear the beauty of what was in this entire conversation, from the program to the community connection, to the political connection, to the
Buffalo Bills lose.
Yeah,
it was.
Y'all want to go there?
No, it's not a happy Monday. Yeah. You know,
they can fund the program though.
Right. Yeah. And please, if you know anybody that is aging in place, don't let them spend, you know, they work their whole life. This doesn't have to be about working. This has to be about making a difference to kids in the community, especially in the city of Buffalo. 716-896-6388. Trust me, you will make a difference.
Call that number, ask some questions if you want, and stay connected. We're in the midst of change. After November 5th, we'll be having other conversation. Well, I just got the signs. And again, thank you, Elise, Wendy, and
Kaitlin.
I was getting there. My tongue was twisting. Thank you,
so
really,
much.
for real. Y'all okay? I don't mean to be rough.